hit the wrong button, so we're gonna try this again. So we're doing good. Somebody just came through. So what's up? Okay, so I don't know if somebody just called me or whatnot. I'm just coming back on for a little while. We just coming on real quick. I just got through doing a live stream, so come back real quick, see if anybody's on. And it's a real simple question. If Diddy tours, you going? See what we got real quick. Thought I'd do a back to back. I just saw some people that came on after the fact. So let's see what we got. I don't understand this. Okay. If people come on through, I will definitely be on. This one's gonna be like a 15, 20 minute video. So we're gonna see what's on. See if anybody comes through. Anyway. Someone already said no, they're not gonna go see Diddy live. That wasn't rude. I don't want to be talking about Shaq like that. I already said what I said, and it's rude of you to harp on something that's a one-sided situation because it shows me that you either A haven't been really paying attention to that finals, B you didn't look at understanding the full complexity of what would happen, and C you didn't take the total aspect. I'm not just gonna say I already said what I said. All right, what's happening? How you doing, Liverpool to go to? Thank you. When I address something about something, I'm done with it. The Pistons won fair and square as a team, and that was the bottom line. But don't sit here and tell no lies that Shaq. Yeah, both of them. American football, and I do respect soccer. Uh, I have, but again, in being in the states, the women's soccer team is far better though. So anyway, I don't really have one. I think I'm gonna sound cliche. I probably say Manchester. I'm still learning. But I got a lot of respect though. And I'm a fan of the when you have World Cup though. Now that's where I get excited. England, France, Spain, always Spain. Now to be honest with you, Spain, Argentina, Italy, those are the ones that get me most excited. But I'm respected all though. A lot lots of respect for it because it's a physical sport. Anyway, appreciate you stopping through too. Anybody want to hit that like? Feel free to hit that like. I should be on for about another 15 minutes. Let's see who's better than all of them. That's kind of hard to just say because they both are great. Um, Ronaldo was bad for what he did. Messi was creative. It's hard to say. If I had to pick one, I probably would lean towards Messi, but it's close. It's close. I don't really like to, it's hard to do best and last because again, you know, there's so many different things that separates people. I'm not gonna answer that right now. Probably go with Israel, but I'm not gonna really get into that. Where are you coming from? Are you from Liverpool? Let me guess. And let me see how this question looks. So 100% say no to Diddy. That's what got my attention. That's what got my attention. Okay. I know a couple people from there. So, yeah. It's an interesting part. There's a lot of teams to learn, a lot of things to observe. So, a lot to take in. Appreciate you coming through. Thank you for coming through. Appreciate you. Thank you. Hopefully, I'll see you again, and I will definitely have videos and streams and times, and we can talk more about it. Appreciate you. This gonna be like a yeah. Thank you for coming through. Always welcome people to stay positive, got a clean vibe and a good conversation. We can't go wrong if we do it the way we're supposed to. I already said what I said. Thank you so much. I said what I said. You badmouth Shaq. You didn't really want to talk about the finals. You just wanted to talk about picking on Shaq to Ben Wallace. And that's not basketball. That had nothing to do with how that's. You too, man. Appreciate you. That had nothing to do with that finals. That was not even the reason why the Lakers lost that finals. If you're a Kobe stan, more power to you. But he sucked in that series. You know, Gary Payton, he got ate up in that finals. I already laid out what had happened in that finals. And if you weren't young enough to watch it, or you weren't around to see it, then you need to look at it in totality. I remember that finals very well in '04. Tayshaun Prince was out there golding Kobe. Kobe was out there trying to play hero ball, over dribbling, double dribble, and shooting long shots. And they barely won game two. They nearly got the first two taken in LA. Because Larry Brown on the sidelines can be heard in game one saying they're not playing together. And that was the difference in that series. And he got caught playing hero ball, the switch outs on Gary Payton, the switch outs on Rick Fox. So that was it. So people don't know and they weren't around to experience it, then they need to tell somebody that, hey, maybe I didn't know, before my time. But to get mad or try to just blame Shaq and say Ben Wallace did something that did not happen is preposterous. Because when Shaq was Shaq, Ben Wallace was just an afterthought. He's good. I like Ben Wallace a lot. No, that's not a fair take at all. Shaq lost in 05, 95. He was younger. He was fresh. Hakeem was better, but the Rockets won that series. Nick Anderson missed those four free throws. The Rockets hit big shots. They won that series. What happened in 2004 was the Pistons as a team were better. Don't put Shaq and Ben Wallace in the same sentence. That's not even funny. Don't put Ben Wallace and Hakeem Olajuwon in the same sentence. That's not even funny. That was a totally different situation. The Pistons had Rasheed. They played a better team ball. So it's not a fair take. So don't put words in my mouth. I've already said what I said. This becomes very insulting because then you're trying to, throw a narrative against Shaq, which he wasn't the reason they lost that finals. He was not the reason. I wouldn't even put 95 against him per se because Houston was a veteran team and they played better ball. Ben Baker was a better player than David West. I like David West probably a bit more for what he actually got the most of what he did, but Ben Baker was a better player. Ben Baker was an all star. He played at a high level. David West was better. If you got a chance to see him with the Hornet, his early stages, and I did like David West, but Ben Baker was a better player. But Vin never got to the he never got to the maximum of his skill set. I am going to go in about 10 minutes, so I just came back to be on for about 10-15 minutes. So yeah, I'll be on for about 15 more minutes, and I gotta go. So if anybody want to talk, feel free, because I am doing a part two. Let me see what's up. Nobody wants to go see Diddy. It's not. What's up, Calvin Jack? It's not shocking. That's not shocking. This is not shocking at all. And again, you don't really follow attention to what's being said. Shocking is something that you couldn't see happening. This had definitely cutie pie for the win. What's up, KJ? I'm on for 15 more minutes too. Cutie pie for the win. I like Do It, but cutie pie had better groove though. That guitar in the pocket was catchier. Nothing shocking about Diddy's case. It's, to be honest with you, in hindsight, shocking that they wasted people's money to go. I did, and they didn't because what they did is that they still found him guilty on two charges. They kept trying to change. They kept moving the rim, but what ended up happening is that I changed my take, and I said the other day that when they dropped those charges, that was a different ball game. I did say that over the weekend because that was a turning point. When they dropped them four charges that late, and yeah, initially no, but when they dropped those four charges, now this didn't look so far fetched. Initially, it didn't look like he had a chance, but when they dropped them four charges, that's a sign the case was weak. 10 times out of nine, government, black defendant, but when you looked at the case, it was weak. So See, that's a good. See, because what they were worried about is that four of those charges were concurrent to three of the four of the other charges, and they thought that if it's all combined, the way it was written and laid out, they would lose the whole case. So they went ahead and thought that they make it lesser because they didn't think it stuck. When the Kid Cudi thing didn't stick with the arson, and then a couple of other things, that's when it started to unravel. And so that's what then happened. So that's what was the turning point. Yeah, initially when they offered him a plea deal, I thought, oh, and then they come this late. They usually don't come late with no deals. So the fact they dropped four charges told me the case is weak. That's what turned me around at the end. I'm going with Emotional Rescue. I love the groove on that song. You will be mine, you'll be all my. Thank you for being one of the top fans to appreciate you. Usually they don't drop charges late. You can call it what you want to call it. I don't see anything funny going on that wasn't there. The case should have never been tried as a RICO. I'm gonna still say that. Initially, initially, but then when Cassie's testimony comes out, the more things went on, the weaker the case became, and so there was no money to be exchanged. I'm gonna tell you something. If they got a black man sitting in the middle of the square ring, and they want him, they're gonna get him on something. So you know that's what it was, and it was a bad case. It turned out way worse, and I don't trust most of these cases against black folks by the government. No way, because most of these cases, especially with these entertainers, it's some trumped up charges that don't really make sense. Especially when you start charging black folks with RICO. You got to be out your everlasting mind. That don't make no sense. Okay, so I'm gonna be on for 13 more minutes. Let's call it what you want. We get the knees, and I do love call it what you want. I do love that because Bill Summers has some cold percussion hitting the. He hit that bottle. He had them bottle jams that we used to love. Oh, he had some bumps. Well, that's the government's problem to come up with accountability, not him. When you're charging somebody, it's your job to be accountability. That's remember who's filing. Arrington was cold weak at the knees. I mean, that vocal, he did that Michael Jackson, and then that run, that groove was cold. The trip apart about that, back in the day, we took that for granted because you had that on the radio all the time. You had that kind of talent that you just assumed was going to be around. So for a cat to drop a record like that, oh, that was cold. Arrington is one of the coldest cats ever. Vocals, rhythm, cadence, timing. He should have been way bigger than he was too. No, I didn't say he genuinely not guilty of doing something wrong because I do think that he was into something that's there, but not for what they was going after. Not no enterprise. Not that. And if he was, Clive Davis and others should be held accountable too. I'm tired of these black men being used like they some swingali's, like they some all they are is just holding they are basically when you go to a boutique or mall and you see a dummy in the window with the clothes on, that's what he is in the industry. He's not this guy that's pulling the strings. But he didn't do the half of that man. Not what they was putting down. Not that. And if he was guilty of stuff, it was in the criminal, it was in the state, it wasn't in the feds. So he got overcharged. taking say more love. I love Anita. I'm a black man, so if you don't like it, you can bounce. Cause I'm going. It is America, and it is about race. And if you don't know that, then you haven't been educated. And I'm sorry, the school system failed you. It is always about race in America. They make it about it. There's a double standards. If you are so mad about it, then why aren't you mad at Donald Trump, who pretty much the same thing as Diddy? The Epstein files, all that. That's what Elon Musk keeps threatening. So be mad about your history. Be mad at me. It's always about race. Because a black man got to go, he got to be prepared for that. See, and it was racial that got for Diddy. This was done for as a governor. This was done to make a political stance. Yes, he was, because he got 34 counts. In case you forgot, do your history before you come on here. And if you don't know, please read. 34 count judgment against him. 34 count felon guilty. Only because Supreme Court then buttered up and held themselves from acknowledging what he did. 34 count. And using funds from the jump off woman, which he paid, which his attorney Michael Flynn went to court, but went to jail behind. Do that. Everything about Trump's about race. Everything he does. And see, when people who don't want to hear the truth, they got to cover their ears like they don't want to imagine it's true. When you say "Make America Great Again," when was it? When did they ever have to say something when they've had everything given to them? Because he said everything given to him. But the bottom line is, he uh, bought and paid people, because the what got his buddy Rudy Giuliani in trouble was going after those two black women in Georgia when they were doing their jobs, counting up the tablets about the whole thing against him and Joe Biden. And what happened? So that's what got Rudy Giuliani bankrupt. So it were two black women and that whole mess in Georgia at the voting booth. He was charged. He was convicted. And also, let's just play devil's advocate since you want to. Who else do you know then caught 34 count case that was sitting in the White House and impeached twice? And his right hand man, Stephen Miller, is a known bigot. Steve Bannon, too. You birds of a feather tend to flock together. So, be in denial all you want. I'm going to say it like I said before. If Trump didn't have the complexion for the protection, and he didn't have Elon Musk putting 250 big ones on his case, he'd be sitting right there with Diddy. That's a fact. And we don't even talk about the insurrection. So, but you can defend who you want to, they're the same to me. Mm-hmm. No, he had the money for the account. He had the money for a rainy day. And he got overcharged. He got overcharged and he had the money. No, I do not. As a doctor, yes. As a politician, no. As a doctor, he was one of the best. I know about Ben Carson's. I see how old you always talk about you young. Well, Ben Carson's, I remember when I was a kid. Cardio, heart, incredible mind. Politician, he sucks and he's a sellout. And he had no business doing no hood job. Maybe Jennifer Hudson, but not hood. So, mm-mm. aware of these cats. Politics is an ugly game, and they don't. They put who they want, how they want, where they want, when they want. Thank you, Calvin. Tomorrow we back to regular. I don't like neither party. They both suck. They both racist and antiquated and they're archaic. I like neither one. I don't. I told you both parties are like a Diddy party. I don't partake in them. I want reparations, 40 acres and a mule, apology for slavery, and acknowledgement, and clean up America. Get them Confederate flags down, them old statues down, and make it look reflective to the now. I have no ties to neither party because both of them is the same. Because both cats then ran both sides. Bill Clinton was part both. Trump learned his game from Trump. Trump learned his game from Clinton. It's all one and the same. Dixiecrats are no different than Republican Party. It's all about the rich getting rich and you getting taxed. And it's just a little game they play for the public. I don't like neither one. I don't think what part of English you don't get. I wouldn't mind an independent or Green Party or something different. I don't like nothing that's being stood for. Because neither one of them have benefited black folks. So I don't support neither one of them. And I don't see nothing special about neither one of them. So you the wrong person. I got 3 minutes before I go. 3 more minutes, and don't get offended because I'm gonna go in three. I support neither party. There are people who vote. That's more power to them. There's people who get into the whole thing. More power to them. That's not my thing. But when you get upset, when I talk about the racial realities, it is a racial reality. So anyway, came back for a few more minutes, and I appreciate the ones that came back, picked up a new subscriber. Thank you. I will be back tomorrow. I'll come back a little bit early tomorrow. See if anybody's on tomorrow. I gotta go watch some news tonight. I gotta get me some sunshine and enjoy the start of the day. What an interesting day it has been. Hmm. And what interesting conversations have been too. So I'm going to say this slowly the best way I know how. I don't support nobody's parties. And, I think for myself, it's enlightened to where I'm at. But whatever you support, more power to y'all. Yes, I'm going to listen to I'm going to after I get through watching these. I gotta do some videos I'm working on. But I will definitely do it. If you're on tomorrow, I should have that done. I'm only gonna listen to about 3 or 4 songs. They gotta get my attention. If they get my attention, I will let you know, and I will get back to you on that. I don't see why there will be anything else that will interfere with my between now and then. But I do got videos I'm working on. But appreciate you. Thank you for being a top fan too. Appreciate you. Stay safe, stay blessed, stay woke, stay free. I will catch you.